All right, hello, welcome back to another wee bit different video. Today's video, we have to talk about how good are the Washington Wizards gonna be next season, because this season they're still tanking. However, how good are they gonna be after the Anthony Davis trade? For those of you that saw the trade and are wondering, why would the Wizards do this? You know why the Mavericks did it. Anthony Davis does not fit their timeline at all. They're gonna focus around Cooper Flag, let him be the guy. The Dallas Mavericks are trading 10-time NBA All-Star Anthony Davis, Jaden Hardy, D'Angelo Russell, Dante Exum to the Wizards. In return, they're receiving Chris Middleton, AJ Johnson, Malachi Branham, Marvin Bagley, 2 first-round picks and 3 second-round picks. You see those 2 first-round picks and you think, well, at least they got 2 first. The problem is, one of those first-round picks is the Thunder's pick this year, which we all know isn't going to be very great. It's going to be in the low 20s, if not 30. The other first-round pick is a 2030 Warriors first-round pick, which sounds good, but it's protected 1 through 20. So if the Warriors barely a playoff team, or they don't make the playoffs at all, that's gonna stay with the Warriors. And Curry by 2030 probably gonna be gone by then. Should be gone by then. So this Warriors team is gonna be bad. So that pick won't even convey. So this, if you really think about it, was a very, very buy low for the Wizards. And then again, that question comes, so why did the Wizards do this? What's their roster looking like? 95% of NBA fans are not tuning into the Wizards, right? Wizards fans are tuning into the Wizards, and you probably are a bit more excited as well after seeing what you gave up, because if you gave up more, it's a bit of a question mark. But considering what you gave up, let me tell you why you're excited. For one, Anthony Davis, 20 points per game, 11 rebounds per game, 2.8 assists per game, but one of the best defenders when healthy. The biggest issue with Anthony Davis is he has not been healthy. But here's the good news for Wizards fans. You don't want to play him this season anyway. He's not here to play this season. Your Wizards organization is telling him right now, dude, you're not playing a minute this season. You're going to get right, get healthy. We're going to have you with Trae Young, you, of course, Alex Sarr, Trey Johnson, Bilal Coulibaly, Bub Carrington, Keyshawn George. I knew I was missing one. And you guys are going to tear it up next season. But this season, you're going to do nothing. So get right. And the thing with AD, if you look at his career log, you know, he had some relatively healthy seasons, you know, for his standards, I should say. 56 games in 2022-2023, which you'll take if you're the Wizards, to be honest with you. 2023-2024, 76 games. 2024-2025, 51 games. And this number easily could have been higher too if he did not get traded, because he he rushed himself back to injury and got hurt his first game back with the Mavericks. So that number easily could have been higher. And then this number, 20 games for this year, for one, let's be honest, AD came into the season overweight. If you're, again, Wizards organization, you have that conversation of saying, you know, get right, get healthy. You're going to be paired up with players who are young and active and ready to go. We just need you to be healthy. And if you're not familiar with Alex Sarr, it's easy to understand why he's good if you're a Wizards fan. But again, if you're not familiar with him, what he does well, 17 points per game, 7 rebounds per game, 2.8 assists, but he averages 2.1 blocks per game. He's a really good defender, very active hands, steals, not afraid to, you know, get into opposing offensive players. And look, this guy was your second round pick or second overall pick in the NBA draft, 2-3 years ago? So you only want to see more development, and you're going to see more development as he continues to go. Trae Young, they traded for, and that was on a very great value deal as well, because, you know, we've talked about it. The CJ McCollum trade, was it CJ McCollum, Corey Kispert for Trae Young? I mean, the Wizards are rebuilding at a faster rate just because they're getting great value deals. I mean, this is not an issue if you're a Wizards fan, right? You're getting guys for very, very low prices. In terms of Trae Young, he's been relatively healthy throughout his career. 81 games, 60 games, 63, 76, 73, 54, 76. I know you see the number 10 for this season, but let's be honest. The Wizards can play him if they wanted to. They're not going to play him. Trae Young, you're good. He was questionable every game, like 3-4 games leading up to his trade, and all of a sudden he's just out for the foreseeable future. It's very obvious what the Wizards are doing. So now let's take a look at the roster, right? Let's take a look at the roster as a whole. I've named players, but let's just look at things. The focal points of this roster: Keyshawn George, another player who has shown promise. He's gotten better every year, and he's capable of scoring, playmaking, rebounding. Going into next season, Bub Carrington will play a role just because they're going to need his shooting. 40% three-point shooter, also 4 assists. You know, he's able to play make, but just a really fast player, able to get to the hoop and have that nice touch around the rim. So Bub Carrington will play a role. Bilal Coulibaly. If you don't know Bilal Coulibaly, I think he's one of the most unsung role players of the league just because he's on the Wizards. Really, really good defender. Very, very active hands. I mean, the Wizards trust him enough to have him guard Jalen Brunson, right? He was the primary defender, you know, against the Knicks, against Jalen Brunson in particular. So you have to understand this guy is going to be huge for this roster because AD, Sar, Bilal as your 3, you know, primary defenders is a really, really good trio. Trey Johnson himself, again, I made the video about Trey Johnson. If you haven't seen it, go ahead and check it out. I am a huge believer in what this guy's capable of doing. And then, of course, we talk about Trae Young. Well, let's just say Sar and AD are going to have some very, very open looks that Trae Young's able to get them. And it doesn't even just go to Sar and AD that are going to be the only beneficiaries here. Everyone on this roster is going to get open looks because Trae Young has always been a playmaker his whole career. Justin Champagnie, twin brother of the Champagnie with the Spurs, and we know that he shoots threes. Well, guess what? Justin also shoots threes. I just want to reiterate, you know, you think by AD going to the Wizards are just a bad team. And look, let's be honest, this season, of course, they're a bad team, but they need to be a bad team this season. They have to stay in that top 8 protected with their first round pick. If they get the 9th or 10th pick, they don't keep it. So they need to be bad. And what is that going to result in? It's going to result in a really high lottery draft pick, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know. To have a very high prospect on the way with this roster that has promise. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you, hey, man, the Wizards are going to be, you know, top 3 in the East. I will, however, say if AD is even remotely healthy enough, right? I'm not telling you 81 games. I'm not even telling you 70 games. Let's just say you get 60 games out of AD. It'd be nice, arguably a luxury, but let's just say you get 60 games out of AD. The Wizards could easily be top 5. They could be sitting where the Cavs are, the Raptors are. And again, this season, you're not going to see any success, but next season is when it really starts. And who do they get in free agency? You know, how do they shape out the roster, or do they make any additional trades? I gotta say I'm impressed because you look at the Wizards timeline and you think, man, they're going to be bad for the foreseeable future. Well, just like that, adding the players that they've added, suddenly it's like, what could they do in the East? And that, I think that's a very fair question because there's a lot of wild cards on this roster. I mean, think about it. How good can Keyshawn George be next year? How good can Alex Sar be? They're already promising young players, but how much of that next step are they going to be taking? And I can't stress enough, the Bilal Coulibaly, Alex Sar, and AD trio on defense is going to help so much cover up Trae Young's defensive, issues. Because Trae Young, horrible defender, we already all know this. But those 3 are going to help tremendously deal with that. And again, Keyshawn George, he's a promising athlete. He can, figure it out on that end of on that side of the ball. And for those of you thinking, man, how is Trey Johnson not starting? I think the only reason why Bilal starts over Trey Johnson is to help out with that defense, right? Because Trae Young, horrible defender. Keyshawn George, as of now, below average defender. Sar, AD, Bilal help cover that up tremendously. If you have Trey Johnson start over Bilal, now you got 3 liabilities on your starting 5 as opposed to 2 and then 3 really good defenders. So I think Trey Johnson probably leads the second unit. Does this hinder his development? Not if you get him enough minutes, right? If you can just plan the rotation to where Trey gets his own and he's able to work with his unit and Trey does what he does and works with the starting unit, it's definitely possible for this roster to work itself out, especially because, again, we have another rookie. I say we, I'm not even a Wizards fan, but you have another rookie on the way and free agency. So to answer the question, how good will the Wizards be? let me reiterate, I think that they could be a top 5 Eastern Conference team, more so 5 or 4 if AD plays 60 games. If AD continues to go through his injury woes, I don't see how they're still not a playoff team. The East isn't as strong. And again, I'm a believer in the players that they're developing. More specifically, Trey Johnson, I'm very high on. Bilal Coulibaly is a phenomenal defensive asset who is going to continue to grow his offensive game. Keyshawn George, below average defender right now, but I just think he's too promising to not figure it out on that side of the ball. Plus, let me say this now. Plus, these guys know, and their mindset is knowing going into this next season that things are going to be going, right? You're going to look to compete. They knew going into this season that they were not going to be, heavy hitters. But next season, they're going to have the belief, all the belief in the world, especially with Trae Young and AD there, that they can compete. So they're going to be ready from the get, competing from the get. Whether you like this Wizards roster or not, the one thing you can't deny is that they didn't have to give up much for it. Giving up CJ McCollum, giving up Corey Kispert, giving up the Warriors 2030 pick that will not convey, giving up the Thunder pick this year. There's not any crazy value there. You can't deny that this was cheap and easy, and paired with your young talent that you have now, something could happen. Anyways, I greatly appreciate you guys for watching. For the like, subscribe, it goes a long way to help with the channel. This is All Even Different, and we out.